Are you going to women? Then do not forget the whip. That line, written by Friedrich Nietzsche, still cuts like a blade through the centuries. But what was he really saying? Was it hatred? Was it cruelty? No, he was describing reality as he saw it. A truth that many men, blinded by desire, refuse to face. Sex is not just pleasure. It is the oldest weakness, the most dangerous temptation, and the easiest downfall for men. It is the lever that countless women without virtue have always used to bend powerful men to their knees. It is the trap, the snare, the battlefield that decides the fate of empires. And if you think that sounds dramatic, look around. In every era, in every nation, the stories repeat. Kings, leaders, generals, athletes, entertainers, men who could conquer the world, yet could not conquer themselves. Nietzsche was blunt about it. He believed that without sex, 99.999% of men would never even entangle their lives with women who bring nothing of substance. Not love, not respect, not loyalty, but lust. The hunger of the flesh, the little head commanding the big one. That was the downfall he warned of. To master your sexual urge is not just a small sign of wisdom. It is the shield that guards your empire, your name, your legacy. Lose control, and you risk everything you've built collapsing into ashes at the hands of someone who never deserved to stand in your shadow. Nietzsche saw this with piercing clarity. He once wrote, "When a woman has scholarly inclinations, there is usually something wrong with her sexuality." What did he mean? That women who could not achieve power through reason would weaponize something else. They would wield manipulation, seduction, and the ancient force of desire to bend men to their will. And thus spoke Zarathustra. He gave the chilling warning, "Are you going to women? Do not forget the whip." Not a literal whip, but the reminder that men must protect themselves, that they must remain vigilant. He didn't call women evil by nature, but he did warn that women without virtue, without loyalty, without humility, without wisdom become dangerous. And in their danger lies the downfall of men who believe themselves untouchable. Fast forward to today, and the lesson repeats itself. Look at Shannon Sharpe, a man who rose from poverty. A man who carved his way into greatness with nothing but discipline, sweat, and persistence. A man who built an empire with his voice, his talent, and his iron will. And yet his name now stands in headlines, not for a failure on the field, not for a loss in business, but for a storm of allegations. Why? Because he lost a different kind of battle. Not the public fight, but the private one. The invisible struggle between lust and discipline. This is what Nietzsche predicted. He would have nodded with grim recognition. The pattern is eternal. A man can conquer the world, but if he cannot conquer himself, then he is still a slave. A man may command millions, but if he is mastered by a fleeting moment of desire, then all his power is nothing. Think about it. The woman at the center of the accusations brought no wisdom, no empire, no virtue. Only youth, beauty, and leverage. And with those, she wielded a weapon sharper than any sword. The ability to drag a man's reputation into the fire, regardless of whether the claims are true or false. Nietzsche once wrote, "Everything about woman is a riddle. And everything about woman has one solution. It's called pregnancy." He saw the biological weapon, the age-old battlefield. Women wield the power of life, and men hunger for it. That hunger has toppled empires. But today the battlefield is larger. It is not just biology, it is the courtroom, the internet, the media spectacle. A single accusation can become a noose around everything a man has built. In this world, perception kills faster than truth. Nietzsche captured this when he said, "In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, in parties, in nations, and in epochs, it is the rule." What does that mean for us? That the mob doesn't care about facts? Public opinion smells blood, and once it does, it feasts. And so, men must be wiser. They must learn to see the trap before it snaps shut. Nietzsche never claimed that all women were corrupt, but he warned that many will use the only power they have to bring down men of power. In Beyond Good and Evil, he wrote, "In revenge and in love, woman is more barbarous than man." Why? Because when a woman without virtue strikes, She does not strike with reason. She strikes with the ancient cunning of survival. She does not fight fair because survival never does. So ask yourself, how many great men have we seen fall? Not because of enemies on the battlefield, but because of women in their bedroom. How many warriors, leaders, and kings have lost everything at the peak of their power, simply because they thought they could indulge without consequence? That is the bitter joke of nature. Men are not destroyed when they are weak. They are destroyed when they are strongest. They think they are untouchable. They believe they can play with fire and not be burned. Nietzsche saw this clearly. He knew society would try to deceive men. He saw the lies in culture that equate beauty with goodness, that teach men to be trusting, to ignore their instincts. But he never accepted that illusion. The true man wants two things, he wrote, danger and play. Therefore he wants woman as the most dangerous plaything. Dangerous, not safe. Not nurturing by default. Dangerous, unless proven otherwise. This is the truth men must accept if they wish to survive in the modern world. If you wish to protect your empire, your name, and your soul, then the first battle is not out there, it is inside yourself. It is the mastery of your own lust. Because if you cannot say no to temptation, you are not free. You are a slave. You are chained by your own desires, led willingly to the slaughterhouse. Nietzsche's challenge was the concept of self-overcoming, that before a man can rule anything, he must first rule himself. If you believe sex is harmless, you are a fool. If you believe that a beautiful woman offering you nothing but charm and flattery is harmless, then you are already halfway destroyed. The Overman-the-Bermenches, the man who rises above this, who looks at beauty and smiles, but does not chase it, who recognizes the trap and walks past it. Weak men are conquered by women. Strong men are cautious of women. Wise men choose women carefully or not at all. And this is why Shannon Sharpe's story is not unique. It is not special. It is simply the latest case study in a lesson as old as civilization itself. Shannon Sharpe's example should terrify every man who still thinks he's immune. Because here's the truth. No amount of money, no level of fame, no stack of accolades will protect you if you hand your empire over to the wrong woman. All it takes is one mistake one night, one temptation, one blind spot, and decades of work can be reduced to rubble. And when the fire starts, don't expect sympathy. Don't expect people to line up and mourn you. They won't. The mob does not care about your sacrifice, your discipline, or your legacy. Nietzsche saw this long ago. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster, he wrote. The warning wasn't just about violence. It was about indulgence, about losing control of your own instincts. When you chase pleasure without honor, you transform yourself into a fool. And fools, he said, are always the first to fall. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If you are successful, you must be paranoid. You must protect yourself relentlessly. You must vet people ruthlessly, because the higher you rise, the more tempting a target you become. Do not mistake beauty for virtue. Do not confuse charm with loyalty. Do not let loneliness be the open gate that allows someone else to walk into your kingdom and burn it down. If you give in to lust, you are not indulging in harmless fun. You are letting your hunger write your obituary. And isn't that the trap most men fall into? Society tells you that conquest is freedom, that indulgence is power, that sleeping with as many women as possible is the ultimate sign of manhood. But that's the illusion. In reality, the strongest men are not measured by how many women they can seduce. They are measured by what they refuse to bow down to, by what they can say no to, by how much discipline they hold when temptation knocks. Look again at Shannon Sharpe. Here was a man who had everything: wealth, respect, fame, legacy. But in the blink of an eye, his name became tied to scandal. Why? Because one woman with nothing to lose had the power to risk everything he had gained. The asymmetry men must wake up to. You might spend decades building something. She might spend a single night tearing it down. Nietzsche understood this imbalance. That is why his words sting across centuries. He wasn't saying hate women. He was saying guard yourself. He was saying see clearly. He reminded men that many women are not builders. They are takers. Not all, but many. And if you fail to see the difference, if you fail to distinguish between the virtuous and the manipulative, then you hand your life over with a smile. And once you do, you will watch her burn it to the ground without remorse. This is why he insisted that men must be trained for war. Not only the wars of nations, but the personal war of the soul. And women, he wrote, are trained for the recreation of the warrior. That was his blunt view of nature. Whether you agree or not, his point was simple. If you don't understand the rules of the game, you will be destroyed by them. And so, the lesson stands. If you cannot master your instincts, you cannot call yourself free. Sex is not harmless. Lust is not harmless. It is the most ancient trap. It is the lever that brings the strong to their knees. Think of all the men you've seen collapse at the height of their power. Not because of an enemy with an army, not because of a competitor in business, but because of one woman, one night, one decision. Billions lost. Empires gone. Reputations destroyed. Families shattered. And it all begins the same way. She's harmless. It's just fun. I can handle it. But you cannot play with fire and not expect scars. Nietzsche's concept of the Bermenschta over man was never about brute force. It was about transcendence. It was about conquering yourself, not just the world. It was about crushing the animal within, the instinct that drags you toward easy pleasure, and demanding something greater from yourself. To become an overman means you can look at temptation, acknowledge it, and walk past it. You can see beauty, smile at it, but not chase it. You can recognize the trap and step over it with calm discipline. Weak men are conquered by women. Strong men are cautious. Wise men choose carefully, or sometimes not at all. Now, here's what should really make you pause. Shannon Sharpe is not unique. His story is not rare. It is just the latest example in a cycle that repeats itself over and over again. Men destroyed not at their weakest, but at their strongest. And what does society do? It cheers when you rise. And it cheers louder when you fall. Nietzsche was right. Public opinion does not wait for truth. It smells blood, and it feasts. So the question becomes, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Because if you think your empire is safe, if you think your name cannot be touched, you are already blind. If you think success makes you untouchable, you are already in danger. If you think a beautiful woman without substance is harmless, you are already halfway conquered. You must build walls around your mind stronger than the walls around your home. You must guard your discipline more fiercely than you guard your wealth. Because when the fire comes, and it always comes, it is discipline that decides whether you burn or whether you survive. Nietzsche understood the pattern. That men rise through pain, sacrifice, and battle, but fall through comfort, indulgence, and lust. That women, when stripped of virtue, often become agents of destruction. That society itself rewards this chaos, because nothing entertains the mob more than the downfall of a giant. And if you don't believe this, look at history. Look at kings who lost kingdoms for mistresses. Look at generals who threw away campaigns for lovers. Look at billionaires who lost fortunes in divorces to women who never built a single dollar of that wealth. It is not a new story, it is the oldest story. That is why Nietzsche's words still echo. The true man wants to things danger and play. Therefore, he wants woman as the most dangerous plaything. But if you do not treat her as dangerous Sif, you forget the whip. As he said, you will not survive. And so I say this to every man listening. If you want to protect your empire, protect yourself first. If you want to keep your legacy, keep your discipline. If you want to be free, master your hunger. Because if you don't, your hunger will master you. And when it does, you will fall. If this message makes you uncomfortable, good, because it should. Discomfort is the spark that wakes men from sleep. It is the alarm bell that says, pay attention. Your life depends on this. Nietzsche never sugarcoated his message. He was not writing bedtime stories. He was writing warnings for men who thought they could live blind and still survive. He knew better. He knew the traps. He knew the dangers. And he knew that men, blinded by lust, are their own worst enemies. Everything in woman is a riddle, he said. Riddles are dangerous for those too lazy to solve them. If you think sex is just fun, if you think women are harmless by default, if you think indulgence is without cost, you are already halfway to your own destruction. And no one will save you when the trap closes. Look around. How many men have already fallen? How many have lost empires, fortunes, reputations, even their own lives? Not to wars, not to battles, not to disease, but to lust. The lesson repeats across centuries. From kings of old to celebrities of today, the pattern is the same. They rise, they conquer, they dominate, and then they fall. Not by armies, but by a single temptation they thought they could handle. And yet men still refuse to listen. Why? Because they think they are different. They think they are stronger. They think the rules don't apply to them. But rules don't bend for your ego. Nature doesn't care how successful you are. Desire doesn't care how disciplined you've been in the past. One lapse is all it takes. That's why Nietzsche demanded self-overcoming. He knew that men must conquer themselves before they can conquer the world. He saw that most men are slaves, not to chains, not to governments, but to their own hunger, to the instinct that pulls them downward instead of upward. The overman, the man who rises above, doesn't fall for the bait. He doesn't confuse beauty for goodness. He doesn't confuse charm for loyalty. He doesn't confuse sex for love. He sees clearly, chooses carefully. Often he simply walks away. Because the overman knows that most women are not worth the cost, that most temptations are not worth the price, that true freedom comes not from indulgence, but from mastery. And if you call yourself a man, you must choose. Will you be mastered by your hunger, or will you master it? This is the fork in the road. Weak men chase women blindly. Strong men are cautious. Wise men choose carefully. But the overman, he transcends, yields, he protects, he guards. He chooses not from weakness, but from strength. And this is what modern men must learn. Because in today's world, the traps are everywhere. It's not just beauty anymore, it's lawsuits. It's accusations, it's headlines, it's cancel culture. It's the mob waiting to feast on your downfall. One mistake is all it takes. Let's be clear. It doesn't even matter if the accusations are true. Nietzsche said it plainly. In individuals, insanity is rare. But in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. Public opinion does not wait for facts. The mob does not wait for truth. The mob smells blood, and once it does, it devours without hesitation. That's why you must guard yourself before the fight even begins. Don't walk into the trap and then beg for mercy. Don't play with fire and then cry when you get burned. Build your defenses now. Protect your empire now. Guard your soul now. Because once the storm begins, it's already too late. Look at Shannon Sharpe again. Years of discipline, decades of sacrifice, all put at risk in the blink of an eye. One woman, one accusation was enough to shake the foundation of his empire. Do you think you are stronger than him? Smarter than him? More disciplined than him? If he could fall, so could you. That is why this warning matters. Do not mistake your success for immunity. Do not mistake your fame for safety. Do not mistake your intelligence for invincibility. Every man bleeds when temptation cuts deep enough. So what do? You prepare. You discipline yourself. You become ruthless with your choices. You stop seeing beauty as harmless and start seeing it as the dangerous riddle Nietzsche warned about. And above all, you master your hunger, because if you don't, your hunger will master you. And when that happens, everything you've built will collapse. Your money won't save you. Your fame won't save you. Your friends won't save you. And when the mob feasts, they will not mourn you. This is the cold truth. And if it terrifies you, good, it should. Because only fear wakes men up. Only fear forces discipline. Only fear builds the walls strong enough to keep the wolves out. Nietzsche's words were not gentle. They were not soft. They were not meant to comfort. They were meant to cut, to shock, to awaken. And that is why they still matter. Because the world is filled with men walking blind, led by their lusts straight into the jaws of destruction. Do not be one of them. If you want to live as an overman, you must rise above. You must crush the weakness within. You must demand greatness of yourself. The empire you're building, the business, the career, the legacy, the family, depends on it. Because what good is all your power if you can't protect it? What good is all your discipline if you abandon it in a single moment of weakness? Good is all your sacrifice if you throw it away for a temptation that brings you nothing but ruin. Nietzsche said it best. He who fights with monsters should see to it that he himself does not become a monster. The monster here is not women. The monster is your own weakness, your own lust, your own blindness. And if you don't fight it, it will consume you. This is your warning. Guard your empire. Guard your soul. Guard your mind. Do not fall for the trap. Do not let lust write your obituary. Do not let a stranger burn everything you've built. Because the world does not care. The mob does not care. History does not forgive. If this message lit something inside you, if it woke you up, don't let it die in silence. Like this video to spread the fire. Share it with a brother who still walks blind among wolves. Subscribe if you refuse to be another casualty. And if you want to stand with us, if you want to fuel this mission of awakening, the link to support the channel is in the description. Strength grows when we fight together. Discipline spreads when men refuse to fall alone. This is your moment. Rise. Choose strength. Choose discipline. Choose to master yourself. Or lose everything for nothing.